We have implemented the strictest measures in all of North America. And the difficult truth is, every public health measure we have left comes with a massive cost to people and their lives. But we have never shied away from doing what's necessary.
We have made the deliberate decision to temporarily enhance police officers' authority for the duration of the stay-at-home order. Moving forward, police will have the authority to require any individual who is not in a place of residence to, first, provide their purpose for not being at home and provide their home address. Police will also have the authority to stop a vehicle to inquire about an individual's reason for leaving their residence.
And our inspectors will also be ensuring that those who absolutely must come to work are strictly following the public health measures. For our employers and employees, take note, this is your last warning.
I'm wondering about these new police powers to just randomly stop someone walking down the street or to pull over a car. What happens if a person refuses to answer the police questions?
So by issuing these new additional enforcement measures, it allows police officers to ask the person why they are not at their place of residence and what their place of residence is. And specifically to your question, if you are not willing to comply, then you are breaking the law.
If someone sees their neighbors breaking these new regulations and having a party in their yard, that sort of thing, should people call police on their neighbors?
In terms of people calling to snitch, to inform, look, we all have a personal responsibility. If it means saving lives, then I think we have to think about what your social responsibilities are as an individual to make sure that you don't empower other people and invite a whole bunch of individuals to your home.
They don't want empty stores. They don't want, we just have to somehow keep our neighborhood together, for sure.
It's important for neighborhoods. I mean, why do you think this neighborhood's so sought after? It's because of these nice street stores, the restaurants, the shops. You really don't have to go anywhere else. Like, you don't have to travel downtown. You don't have to go online. You can just come out and just walk down the street and all the stores are here.
Well, Danforth, like many other residential strips, are destination zones. People travel to come to the area. Small businesses rely on street traffic, people being able to come in. It doesn't make sense to me to shut down all of the small businesses that might see 50 people a day maximum, whereas a big box store can have lots of people coming in. I don't think that the government solution addresses the problem at all and does significantly disadvantage small businesses.
It's really not fair that people can flock to malls and big box stores and buy unfettered when we are taking all precautions necessary to keep people safe, letting in only a few people at a time. Small businesses are really the backbone of a community. The big box retailers employ a lot of people, but small businesses keep main streets alive. They're part of the community. They give a sense of community.
Police and bylaw officers will have the power to enforce the order by issuing tickets to rule breakers. But the government has yet to release, or hadn't a few hours ago, released the legal parameters or what constitutes an essential trip. How are police preparing? Nishan Duryappa is the Peel Regional Police Chief and joins us now from Mississauga. Hi, Chief. Good to see you. Thank you very much for making the time.
Good evening. Nice to talk to you as well. Thank you.
I just wanted to start off on the question of what you know, because we just spent some time talking to MPPs about some of the confusion surrounding this stay-at-home order. Do you have the regulations in hand? Are you able to enforce this as of midnight?
So, ultimately, we will be enforcing it, or we'll be able to by midnight. Without fail, in my experience, when government works to establish a set of regulations, there's a lot of work on the back end. So as of yesterday, some of it was already released. All the chiefs in Ontario received an all chiefs message which speaks to like 3 or 4 components of it. We know that tonight we will be receiving the additional regulations. I actually, and along with other chiefs in Ontario, have a call with the Solicitor General this evening in which we will be discussing the elements of it. So in my experience, even thus far in the last year, this is really how it kind of rolls out. It, we understand the intent, but the details which come out in the regulations don't come till a little after. There's a lot of heavy lifting, nonetheless, on the back end. We do anticipate on getting the rest of it tonight, so it's not all in hand. And we know that that's been sort of one thing that we've, as chiefs, been waiting for.
So let me ask then, from your perspective, as someone who will be leading the enforcement, because we did hear the Premier say that police will have a lot of discretion on this. And I think this is what a lot of Ontarians are asking themselves right now. For example, if I leave my house sometime in the evening, are you randomly going to be stopping people who are outside for a walk, or even if you don't know what the intent is, or in their car and asking them where they're going, what they're doing? And when you hear the reply, does it have to be, for example, grocery store? And if it isn't, then what happens? Like, do you give them a ticket, and how much is that ticket?
Yeah, so before I answer that, can I tell you this affects even me and my family, my mom, my cousins, aunts, and uncles. The reality is, I just need to say, this is a public health issue and a narrative, which of course, that has some implications that require myself, municipalities to, help enforce. But the reality is, what we're trying to do is make sure that people willfully abide by the regulations. So what I'm telling my officers is really no different than, we've got two acts. One is the Recovery Act of Ontario, and the one is the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act. Both of them have come into play at two different points. And at each point, we've had a responsibility. It really isn't a lot new for us on the policing end to tell our people, look, here's what's not allowed to happen. Use your discretion. Be reasonable. If people legitimately are on their way, to medical appointment, to the grocery store, that's what it's intended for. I think where we're going to see, in my experience, from the last time there was an emergency declaration, is you will see police right across this province dominantly respond to complaints. So when there's a complaint for a group of 5 or more, or, hey, I'm at this store and so-and-so refuses to put his or her mask on, legitimate or not, we will probably respond to those. I think you're going to see a sense of reasonableness to your question from chiefs that, again, to reframe this is why I started with the fact that this is a public health narrative that we're trying to align with and support. It is not a policing matter or law enforcement matter where, and I'm not commenting on other provinces, but here in Ontario, the way this government has rather approached things is to do what's right under the vein of public health, not wave the white flag and, drop curfews. And, we're taking our cue from that in the sense that we'll do our part with the municipalities where it's appropriate. And there are egregious circumstances. Clearly, we'll respond and talk to people. It's always been, we'd rather get compliance before enforcement. And, that's the cue my people will take.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to discern for people watching is just what's different. And you've kind of answered that. It sounds like there'll be more response to, or maybe a larger response to complaints versus just these random, I think we all have this picture in our heads of this order coming into place and all being pulled over and asked where we're going and what we're doing. From what you're saying, it won't really be like that.
I honestly don't think so. And here's my thing is, we want to restrict mobility. We want to really honor and reduce the outdoor gathering limits, 5 or more. The closing of additional workplaces and mitigating the rules in between, wearing a mask. And the last piece is actually increasing enforcement. I think what everybody hopes for, and I'm not speaking as a chief, and I am on a call with all the chiefs later this evening, is we're hoping for what it felt like the last round, where it was a bit of a ghost town in everybody's neighborhood. People were, honoring it themselves. But where it crosses the line and where it's egregious, people still want to go play basketball at a court or go for a 10-person skate at a public rink. You know what I'm going at? Yeah. I think that's where you'll see us. I think most chiefs have their own localized issues based on the nuances of the municipality. Here in Peel Region, we know we're a hotbed. The Airbnb example is one that plagues us that we have been working on. But if you go to rural community in Ontario, it's going to look a little different.
Okay, I'll leave it there, Mr. Duryapa. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.